people in chat, Alden. Why did I call you Alden? There's people in here who didn't think we were going to start the show ever, but we did. It's Friday. It's Anytime with Ken and Alden. I'm Ken. That's Alden. That's Alden.
Hello.
I'm Ken.
I am indeed still Alden. That is indeed still Ken. We took a week off.
Yeah.
And was I don't know what you were doing. You weren't on.
Where
the
was
road.
I last week?
You weren't on the. Oh, you know what it was? That you had to take Grace to LAX.
Oh, that's right. I was. Yeah.
I even was like, wait a second. I was going to say you were in insert city, and then I was like, he wasn't on the road. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got to pick her up tomorrow. That's why we can do the show today. I do have
doesn't count as being on the road. Going to LAX does count.
I have a memorial I'm attending in a couple weeks, so that's another out. But I'm here, man. This is what happened. You and I both, probably to a detriment of our careers, but to the health of our brains, we're like, let's pull back a little bit on the anytime gas pedal, tread water for now, make sure we take care of ourselves, take care of you. I watched Pretty Woman again this week. Take care of you. Take care of you. Cinda fucking
great film.
I love that film.
Great movie.
You know what? I want to dive into serious stuff. I want to get to stuff. Can I just say what I've done this week? Sorry.
Yes,
can I
please.
dominate? Can I dominate the banter?
Please do.
Because Grace is gone, and we like a lot of the same movies together. We'll sit down and watch things, and I'll show her some of my old movies from like 2001, and we get along on the movies. But this week I've been watching all like my favorite, not rom-commy, but my favorite Ken rom movies. The ones that kind of formed me for better or worse. Okay. Some that not all of them stand the test of time, which I like doing anyways. Going back and watching comedy, being like that can stay, that can't, that can stay. High Fidelity, it's a life-changing book and movie for me. Knocked Up, which is a weird one to explain in that way. 500 Days of Summer, which ended a relationship for me in a good way. Helped me. I love that film, and I know there's conversation around it, but it changed my life. Father of the Bride and Pretty Woman.
That is
and Serendipity.
Banger lineup. Like that right there could be like the Ken Loves Love Film Festival. We should, honestly, there has to be a way to get someone to let you program that. Maybe Tarantino will do it. You get Ken at the Vista playing all of his favorite romantic hits. That honestly is such a good lineup. Says a lot about you, and I think because a lot of those movies are about expectations. I mean, 500 Days of Summer obviously is built around expectations versus reality. Like that's one of the greatest scenes, I think, it really is. in a romantic film. But all of those are about like changing perception and in some way, and starting one place, ending another. Even Knocked Up has more to like that run of comedies. The Apatow
run,
yeah, like that run of comedies is full of things to say, like Step Brothers and like that's legit good.
Yeah, no, Knocked Up's one of my favorites, and again, not everything in it stands up, but that's just gonna. You want that to be the case. You want us as a society to move forward. Every 5 to 10 years, maybe look back and go, oh, we approach things differently in terms of our humor, or what we say, or how we approach romance stories. So I get all those conversations, but the reason was, Alden, I needed to. Those movies formed who I thought I was when it comes to romance and relationships, and I went back to check in on it to see, can I still be that? What parts of that were naive? What parts of that had to go? And what parts of that can I reignite? And it was a good week.
And now you're watching these, of course, as we've established. Your fiance is out of town during this. And so it's not like you're watching this with your partner who can provide commentary. You're only watching this with your own thoughts. So do you find yourself like very locked into the story still? Or are you kind of like thinking too much about the way you are now?
You're a good interviewer. Alden, you're DAs. You know, it's like when you go back to maybe an old music playlist or a mix CD, or dare I say mix cassette, a mixtape, and you go back and you listen to it and you're like, yeah, every song, every chorus, every lyric, but also every spot I was in emotionally and maybe even literally during that comes to mind. So that's what I was like watching Serendipity, like remembering when I fell in love with Nick Drake, whose Northern Sky is at the end of that film, and that Cusack run, that Gross Point Blank High Fidelity into Serendipity run is great, and going, oh yeah, I remember when I thought love was like this unrealistic expectation, two gloves, around the serendipity happened, and so it was a good journey in that way.
That's good. That sounds really healing.
Yeah,
It
it was
sounds like
healing.
you did some work this weekend.
I did some work.
Now you're here making content, and you're gonna have the weekend of doing other jobs and other things, and you could
hmm hmm
undo all the progress that you made, and then
You know
be
what?
back to anger
Yeah,
and wrath by this time
yeah,
next week.
yeah. That's my journey. What's been your journey this week, buddy?
It's been an interesting couple weeks. I mean, real life
Yeah.
is real life. I mean, real
hmm
life.
hmm
We both work jobs to pay
hmm
bills, and like, there's that, and like, whatever, it sucks, and no one wants to do it. The industry's collapsing, yada yada yada. We've done a bunch
hmm
of episodes on this, and we will continue to. Uh,
hmm
just like personally, it's been sort of like a reflective time because I've been giving a lot of advice lately. Like, just it just so happens that different situations in life have lined up. So it's like a
hmm
longtime best friend going through a breakup, he's in a life change, or a friend who's younger and she's looking for guidance in a different way and different. So I've been doing a lot of like plugging into other people's problems,
That's good.
and then you go to log on and
hmm
you're like, okay, what's happening on the internet? And then it was like,
hmm
okay, we're finally going to launch the full counter offensive against hate,
hmm
and which is something that I'm on the record having called for.
hmm
So it's like, I
hmm
can't bemoan it, but man, how annoying.
Yeah,
How
it kind of was
annoying
like
this thing
the first Ukraine counteroffensive.
Yeah, except probably nowhere near
Kind
as cool, inspiring, or harrowing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no, okay. This is all good in that life way. It was
Yeah.
life. And I will say first, I think sometimes it's important, even when you got a lot of things swirling around your own head and soul, and I know you do, that you're there for other people. You plug into other people's lives and problems and issues and questions and struggles. That's good.
I like
Good
doing
thing.
that. I think like
Yeah.
I don't want to. I've never been interested in like being a psychologist or like going down the therapy path or anything like that. Those
hmm
aren't careers that interest me, but I do enjoy mentoring and giving advice when I can. And you know,
hmm
I reference Mad Men all the time because I've watched it a bunch and I rewatched it when we started this show. Um, but like the whole idea of just like sitting around in a room and just kicking things around is my ideal career. Like, I would just love to just sit around and feel
What's
like,
that? So not a therapist. I get that. No, I get that. There's a lot of learning, a lot of school. You got to do a lot of school.
yeah,
You want to do like what? You want to be like in an emotional think tank?
it would be fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know
I
how
like
like
this.
people like have like made up jobs at certain
hmm
companies. Like Star Wars has a
hmm
few of them. Like there are
Yeah.
guys from the George Lucas era that were just grandfathered in that have made up
Right.
jobs, like
Yeah.
Holocron Keeper, things like that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I would love that. And like, there was
hmm
a tweet
hmm
once that was like, you should be able to apply to be a company's Don Draper. And I don't mean advertising executive. I mean, you take naps in your office and you ask questions like, what does America want?
hmm hmm
Like, I would love to.
I think this is great. I'm sure there's support groups things. A buddy of mine, Naz Perez, has like Heartbreakers Anonymous or Heartbreak Anonymous, where people, any kind of heartbreak you want to come, we'll sit around and talk about it and work you through it. I think there's that, but there's something specific to what you're suggesting that I think we could push forward. Emotional think tanks. Let's do
Emotional
it.
think tanks. Yeah, that could be a business. Oh, we got to write this down. I
Someone
know
write
we've
it.
joked about it before, even off air, and even not so joking. Like how great it would be to have like either like podcast consulting or like
hmm
you want to navigate this content world, we will give you the advice and all that. And but granted,
Yeah.
the problem is that people know that they don't need that. All they need to do is be an asshole, and that's the
Yeah.
quickest path. So
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of people like who come to Ken, I need some podcast advice. I'm like, yeah, okay, here's your advice. Don't do what I've done for 20 years. There you go. You'll be good. You'll be
it's
better.
like I hate the reality that we live in because ideally you would be everyone's mentor. You would be everyone's mentor. I think everyone would be like, oh, that's he's a real radio guy. He has the comedy, is a writing background, all these things. But then you're just not racist and misogynistic enough, unfortunately.
There's that. And there's that. I have a reference to that in my stand-up. And then there's also, we've talked before, and you've got a little bit of this problem. This is why sometimes I just want to shake you loose. We're too old in terms of broadcasting styles because we know how to do it. Remember, I had that job last summer. I'll just say a group of fresher rock stars where I was brought in, and one of my duties was going to be to coach their on-air talent because they didn't like how they were doing. no one told the on-air talent. So when I started to like, hey, let me coach you, let me give you some advice, they weren't receptive to this old guy telling them what to do. But so I wish I could do that more, but I don't think people will listen.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I would listen. I mean, you've at least influenced the way that I do things. So I'm in part your fault.
Don't be like me, Alden. See what I'm drinking here? Apple juice.
What is that?
Apple juice. So I love apple juice.
Just apple
no alcohol. I get an apple juice kicks. And so last night I was trying a long time ago. My former girlfriend and I used to always say apple juice, and I was like, where did that come from? Is that like a meme, a cartoon? So I typed in last night, and then apple juice comes up, and then the fact that there was a recall of apple juice yesterday. And all I did was I looked to make sure my brand wasn't on the list, and I still drank it. I might die, Alden. Don't be like me. Don't be like. I should have just thrown the apple juice away.
If you were to die, theoretically right now, that would probably cause the viewership to spike, and people would come back to this a lot. And this video might turn up in court, which would be very interesting. But more morbid question that was not on the docket.
Yeah.
Do you have a last will and testament and plans?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to give public credit. This is what those movies don't teach you.
Yeah.
When a businessman picks up a sex worker in Hollywood Boulevard, they don't go into this of your partner will change you and force you to do things in a positive way of you need to do it. So Grace was like, you're getting a last will and testament. You're getting it. You're older than me. You're gonna go before me most likely. You ain't leaving me with nothing. We're gonna figure this out. And I'm always the like whatever. Like we'll figure it out tomorrow. And she made me do it. And I feel safer. I'm not leaving. I'm leaving Funko Pops and Lego sets. But I feel better.
I just rewatched this week Knives Out. I was just in the mood for sometimes I get in the mood for a particular performance. I don't know if that happens to you, where you're and one of the people in Knives Out, I was thinking about Don Johnson because I had seen him in Rebel Ridge on Netflix, which is excellent. New film that came out. And I was like, oh, Don Johnson, man, what a great, veteran he's turned out to be as an actor. And then I was like, oh shit, Knives Out. And you go to Knives Out and you have Frank Oz as the Thromby's lawyer who reads the last will. And a great comedic scene. And so yours would be like, I, Kenneth Knapsack of sound mind and body, do leave the Imperial Star Destroyer to my fiance.
It's kind of something like that, because she has sentimentality in other ways. She doesn't have it with a lot of things like this. Like the first birthday gift I got her, and one of the reasons she fell in love with me was I did get her a replica of Aragorn's sword, right? And we still have that. Grace is also a trained sword person. Like she's good with a broadsword, and she used to take classes, and she's certified in that stuff. So that was why. But then one time I came home with a Gandalf Funko Pop. I don't know where she put it. I haven't seen it for 5 years.
Well, it's good to know.
And I was like, here, honey.
Yeah, some of those things, maybe when you're gone, she'll put the sword over your chest and put your hands on it, and you could have a nice traditional,
Yes. Our friend Nikki, who did ask me on a date last night, and I couldn't make it. I'm so comforted knowing Ken's Lego sets are coming to me legally. Yeah, actually, quite frankly, I should probably make that change.
That would be really, it would be like, where are all of the blood relatives? These are just internet guys that he left everything to.
Yeah.
These are just screen names and Twitter handles.
Who's Boopenheim, and why do they get this sword?
Yeah, that'd be so funny, man. We got to do a Ken Knapsack murder mystery so we can role play this.
I love this,
and it would be no work for you.
Yeah,
just all gather up at your house. You just lay down, take a nap, and then we tell the story around you. I think about that stuff all the time. I really do. I'm too young, I think, to really be concerned with it. But I'm always obsessed with what's going to happen after. I've planned my funeral and all that.
Oh yeah,
I think about that stuff all the
time. I'm a little bit like Tormund Giantsbane. You have any final words you want to say to the dead? The dead can't hear us. That's a little bit me. burn me, toss me in the ocean. I ain't gonna be around, right? Whatever you want to do. My dad's like that too. He's like, just don't pay for a funeral, just burn me. Put me in a coffee can. I don't care. But yeah, you do. You know, we have these things around us, and you start to wonder. There's a deleted scene from High Fidelity. The guy doesn't die, but they get divorced, and the wife sells all the record collection to Rob Gordon, or in the book Rob Fleming. And I think about that too. Of just like this is going to be a garage sale. I pass away, but Jen Murrow's in chat. Jen Murrow's going to have to come over here and help organize a garage sale, and it's just going to be five for one Funko Pop sale because this guy kicked the can drinking arsenic laced apple juice.
God, that's so good. Jen Murrow, an incredible writer. Jen Murrow, I give you full license here on air for everyone to see to write the Ken Napzok murder mystery party that we're gonna have to have. Man, and you said being burned and everything. That makes me think of like when I was a kid. I used to think that being burned on a pyre would be the best thing because of Vader. I used to be like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. Of course, no concept of like real world cultures or like what is actually possible. Just like, being burned in a forest.
I want to go out like Denethor. Like that seems right? Just
run off. This is the bridge.
Pour some oil, run off. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Now look, when I was your age, I think, and younger actually, I mentioned this before, but I was convinced I was going to be assassinated, and I said assassinated because I thought it was going to be of such importance that I was going to be assassinated at 49. So I've got like 6 months left.
That's going to be.
I wrote a song about
guy that's like, hey, and you're going to turn around and be like, yeah. He's like, you said something about Rise of Skywalker I didn't like. Like,
sadly, or some political grifter running for president will put a meme out there into this space, and now you get bomb threats and schools being evacuated in Springfield, which we're going to talk about. But anyways, that's that's my banter for the week, Alden. There's a lot going on, and this past couple weeks has it's left an emotional scar, I think, on a lot of folks, and a lot of folks in a bigger way, but this week's not leaving me. These last couple weeks have not left me yet.
Yeah,
I haven't. Trying to process things,
and like I think similar to first we should not address because it's not that show, but like I would like to point out Force Center, Ken, Joseph, Jennifer Landa, congratulations on your exodus from Twitter. As if you all sailed to Valinor. You are all. Goodbye to the Gandalf and Galadriel and Celeborn of our space. They're gone.
Who's Celeborn?
I think that
who?
Joseph would probably be. Joseph is sort of elven-like and wise and everything. So he might be Celeborn. Unfortunately, you're Gandalf, and like, not unfortunately, I mean, he's great, but like, I just mean in the sense of like,
I'm Bilbo.
That makes me like a Pippin-esque figure in your
sure.
Or
even you fool of a Diaz.
Exactly.
I think if I'm sailing away, I'm Bilbo, where they're like, just put the old guy in the cart and let him come with us. He's done enough.
It's like he thinks he's going on another adventure, but we're putting him in a home.
Is it another live stream? Frodo, do you remember where my Funko Pop was?
I'll be like, yeah, Ken, I saw it over here on this ship. Weigh anchor, let's go. Like, we need to get the fuck out of here. Yeah, so you all made the wise decision to leave Twitter, and we're not gonna get into it because it's not a Star Wars thing, and we've all talked about it, and I've talked about it publicly a lot. And but just the not obligatory, but just like be remiss if we didn't say one of our favorite people joins us here in the comments all the time. One of the best, one of the goats, Molly Damon, who we love. Shout out Molly. And shout out everybody that's just standing firm and loving each other and standing up for each other. And
it's a Star Wars thing, but it's, as you all know, it's not. That's why the battle. We joked earlier about a counteroffensive, but it goes beyond it, and that's why I have a scar. It's something this is what I tell you. I deal with this in stand up every week, like where you go and someone gets to. I believe in the say what you want right out. The comedy club is the one that should decide if they want you on your stage or not. But I watch them say these things, and then I watch rounds of applause, and laughter to these words, and it just I don't. I don't. I feel, it's like Theoden. Like, what can we do? It's so much hate and suffering, and I don't. And that's where I'm at. And Ride Out With Me might be the answer, or Sailing to Valinor. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's funny that comes up because specifically in terms of comedy, because I've been telling you I've been watching the show Hacks, which is 3 seasons in, and I'm almost fully caught up. I'm halfway through season 3, and the main characters of Hacks are a young comedy writer and an older veteran comedian, and the older veteran comedian is very much based on like Joan Rivers and all that stuff. Like she's a fabulous, glittery 70-year-old older white lady, and there's an episode where she gets together and she's like finally invited sort of into the boys club. So it's like, that world's legendary comics, but played by real comics. And she finally gets to go to like the poker game and everything that she was never invited to back in the 70s and 80s because she was a woman. And when she gets there, she realizes that all these guys that she always wanted the approval from haven't changed at all and haven't moved into the times. And it breaks her heart. And they start making fun of bisexual people at the poker game. And the young writer that is her partner is bi. And like kind of taught her about that stuff in season 1. And so it's a payoff thing too of like, oh wow, she is growing like underneath all of the, like this is bothering her because of growth. And this is bothering her because she's not the loud, bitter type that she was when we met her. And it made me sad, but it also made me appreciate some of the older folks that are out there.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to take this away. If you want to get back to anything with that other section of the conversation, go for it. But and you and I have text over it too, or sometimes, and I don't mean to come off as cavalier or lackadaisical to anything in the Star Wars space, where I'm just like, this is in my face weekly. It's in all of our faces in every part of life, right? Your uncle who says things are fun. But I deal in comedy where there's a lot of people like, oh, dude, I love that guy. Oh, I used to watch him on Comic Strip Live back when I was a kid. He's one of the reasons I'm in stand-up. And then he comes up on stage and does an 8-minute bit using homophobic slurs, and the crowd applauds, thunderous applause as he just does. And you're just like, and it's hard. You're trying to reconcile it. And but I was pleasantly surprised. There was one comic the other day who I've loved. He was also an actor on the TV show Rescue Me, not Dennis Leary, but one of his good friends. And I've seen some of his clips, and I'm like, oh no, I did just like, oh, he's that guy. I was on the same show with him a couple weeks ago. He did some really tough, I'm growing material that was still pushing some boundaries, but in a way, he began with, I'm trying to find my own way. I'm trying to find my own path to empathy. I'm trying to change it. I don't want to be an angry guy. And a friend of his is trans, and he had a great story about that, and a great comedy. And again, some of it might have, if you just swung through, you might be like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" But it came from a very real place and a funny place. And I drove home so happy that I was like, at least one's trying, because it feels overwhelming every time. That it's like it's all around us, just this base level dumb hate, this lack of understanding.
For sure. And what can men do against such reckless hate? That's a quote that I wrote.
That's the quote. Okay. Yeah, I always I miss quotes up. King Theoden said, "Hey, what are we gonna do?" Like that's how I think of quotes.
King Theoden said, I guess I'll ride out with you." I'm with you on a lot of that. I recently, over the past couple weeks, became a fan of the comedian Susan Rice, who's an older lady. I'll message it to you. She's an older lady who very much leans into the grandma-ness of it all. And, you get the idea that she is somebody who has been around, because you look at her website and it's like she's been at the clubs with Seinfeld and like all this stuff. Like she never really got to take off.
I've seen her. Yes, she's fun. Yes, got it. Sorry.
And she's about to do her first special, and like, or not her first special, but a special taping. And I just, watching her material and seeing her like still going for it, and like the way that she fits into like the ecosystem, like I just love seeing that she's able to turn that material about getting older into such like a positive, such a healthy thing, and all of that has been really cool. And I really enjoy her stuff, and I like anybody that gets to a place of being older and just has like perspective and everything. That's what I ideally would want. Like nobody who's young wants to grow and like is like my goal is to be bitter and everything. It just sort of happens, and like we're not gonna name any names, but it's like people that we've both know or like have talked to in our families and our lives, and like people that you know, where you're like, you look at them and you're like, what happened? Like we were there, both there for all the same things. And
yeah, we were on this. We were on the same shows, talking about the same movies, and you look across and you're just like, thank God I didn't. I could have. I was close to it. And thank God I didn't. That's all I can think. But it upsets you, because it's a loss that maybe doesn't need to happen.
For sure. No, absolutely. Jared's in the comments. Is this the I love the doctor's office lady? Yes, it is. Her doctor's office bit is the first one I saw, and I laughed so much and sent it to a lot of people.
She's great. Yeah,
former UN ambassador Susan Rice.
Yeah, I know. I just did a Google search. It was like the politician. She's great, and that's one thing I love about stand-up, man. And I'll end my stand-up conversations, unless you're going to be at Flappers tonight at 10 p.m. Well, I will be on a great show. Stand-up has no time limit, even though society and the business sometimes does. Stand-up, you can find a way. You can find yourself. You can find your audience. You can find your voice. So that's good. She's great.
And people that come at it from different perspectives too, because I think that the perception is that like all stand-ups either studied writing or all stand-ups studied theater or acting. But like the more that you discover them, the more you realize that like so many come from like different angles and different career paths and just different things entirely that you wouldn't expect, which I think always makes the material funnier. And it's been a really good year for specials, I will say. I've watched about 6 or 7 specials this year that I've been like, that rocked, that have all been very different. And
you know what I watched too? We really truly will end the stand-up talk here so we can get to the debate talk. But you mentioned specials, and Netflix has put a lot of specials out that, I don't know if I want them to do it, but it's their choice as a company. But I just watched Outstanding, a comedy revolution on Netflix, which is the doc that explores the history of LGBTQ plus stand-up comedy in this funny and heartfelt documentary. I'm reading the description here, of course. It was inspiring. It was great, and a reminder, because one of my things that I get a little defensive of is I understand it, but there's a lot of, you go on like threads, there's a lot of like how horrible stand-up comics are and everything, and there's a large group, a lot of them based in Austin now, where you're like, yeah, I get what you're seeing, and they're dominating, not unlike the other space that you and I work in, Alden, where you're like, yeah, because I had a conversation in Greenwood 2 weeks ago. Two older comics of mine are like, Star Wars, right? Yeah, the Star Wars fans are kind of bad now. And I was like, it's not the fans. Yes, there's yes, but no, it's this, because you guys are two politically active guys on a team I'm on. Engage with the bigger picture. That's what's going on. And so that's a lot with the stand-up. But push past that, because their stand-up is pretty popular right now because of TikTok and Reels, and it's a different vibe. But man, there's so many people doing great things out there on stage every week. Check out that doc, Outstanding, a comedy revolution. It's inspiring.
I absolutely will. It's going straight on the docket. And just talking about entertainment, before we fully pivot into the debate, we would be remiss if we did not mention, I'm glad Eli put it in the comments, rest in peace to a once-in-a-lifetime talent indeed. Yeah. James Earl Jones, who you've already discussed on SportsCenter, or you're about to.
We did not get a chance to. We finished our recordings for the day on Monday, and about an hour later, he got the news came out that he had passed. So our live stream today, so why this episode might be a little truncated. We're doing SportsCenter special live show today about James Earl Jones and everything else. But we'll prepare to. But anyways, sorry,
of course, legend. Doesn't even begin to describe it. A cultural icon, somebody who broke down barriers and overcame personal struggles. And I always love in Empire of Dreams when he points out that he was a kid with a stutter, and that he would become the ultimate voice of not just evil but also good because of Mufasa, because of Field of Dreams. Like, it wasn't just a scary voice, it was just a movie voice. And
I love that clip. That a lot of people play that clip of James Earl Jones. George Lucas wanted a darker voice in terms of ethic, but in timber, and he found me. That's a great clip. It's a great clip.
That's the level of nerd that I love, is when people know specific. Like, one time I got totally just like can you get in trouble for saying things on YouTube? I don't know. I will say I indulged in the devil's lettuce, and I watched Empire of Dreams, and I tweeted the mic was in picture, and you texted me almost immediately. You said, "Are you high right now watching Empire of Dreams?" And yes,
it was. The mic was in picture. That's
the mic was hello, extra cheddar joined me on Casually Talk yesterday. Thanks for hanging. Molly's here.
There's
talents
our Molly.
In America.
Molly.
Molly, you missed your shout out, but we love you. You're great. 8984M. So we're gonna transition now to the main topic, just because, like Ken said, Ken has to do more shows today. You're like a full day. You're on stage tonight, and 2 shows.
I got that. I got Force Center live for about 2.5 hours, and then I got to finish writing my quantum mechanics versus general relativity, and then I got Flappers tonight at 10 o'clock, and I have to finish an entire leftover pizza from last night's football contest. I didn't play. I watched. But I don't want the evidence to be there when Grace lands tomorrow.
That's reasonable. Okay, so presidential debate time. As Jon Stewart from The Daily Show called it, the first debate again, because it sort of is. It's weird to even call it a second one, because the first one's kind of a wash and helped get us here to where we are. So it'll be an interesting thing to look back on 10 years from now. But this debate, I think everybody sort of went in with the baseline of she's about to smoke him, and for that was for a lot of reasons. He's been off his game lately, whatever that game is. He's been
he's in love. He's in love now, Alden. He's got himself Laura Loomer, it looks like, and he's in love. Yeah. He's got the pitter patters of love.
For sure, he's butterflies, and that's why he's so off. That's why he's distracted. He's back in dating Trump. We haven't seen dating Trump in a long time. As a culture, he has not reared his head. The romantic, as it were.
Yeah, you youngins don't remember when he met Ivanka, okay?
I don't. My concept of him was that he once in kayfabe purchased Monday Night Raw as a brand. And then that led to the Mania match. Hall of Famer, guys. Hall of Famer. I think everybody thought going in, okay, the prosecutor, the convict, all these narratives, the skill sets, the abilities to speak in general, that it was like she's gonna smoke him, and even if it doesn't go well, it'll still be better than the first Joe debate. And yeah, I mean, I think it managed to fulfill all expectations while also delivering like a year's worth of Trumpian comedy and just lunacy in about 90 minutes time. And I watched it in full live as it happened. Yes, I did not watch it on Disney Plus. I watched it on ABC like an adult.
Same. I thought that was a weird option.
I was like,
I'm not against it.
On Disney Plus and Hulu, and I was like, I'm not really comfortable with the idea of a kid watching Bluey and then accidentally falling into this. So
maybe it'd be a good thing, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's like you finish the debate, and it's like we would also recommend Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Like we, so the debate happened. I think it managed to galvanize, and it's not a perfect showing, obviously, for Harris. There's a lot to talk about with, of course, every time Israel Palestine comes up, everyone clenches. Realistically. But yeah, it was an awful showing for him, and it's good, I think.
And I want to kick to you in a second of as someone who came out of the last debate with a pretty clear thought of what you and many other thought should happen going forward. Something that I've said that I was maybe against, but realized I was wrong, and also wonderfully surprised by the rallying around the new candidate, right? Like, so I want to talk to you from your perspective of the second time see it again for the first time of this version versus last time. But yeah, I'm with you too. I watched it all. I think I even planned a dinner around it. And debates are not unlike like the DNC or the RNC of just like they're pep rallies to me. They're orchestrated, and I think there was some expectation of she was going to be like, "Look, poopy pants." All right, it's like it's not going to happen. I too think she didn't directly answer like 3 or 4 questions that I was kind of like, I'd love to know that answer. Oh, we're doing a story. Okay, your mom's a small business owner, and that's just to me the orchestrated nature of the debate sometimes, and not orchestrated that someone gave her the questions and this and that, but just like it's never fully satisfying. And you mentioned the Israel Palestine stuff. It's like, you could have predicted that answer of I think it started here, but I will never give them the you're just like, that's exactly a 4-quadrant tested answer that is not the one we want, and you know what I mean. Like, so I can get easily disappointed by that in the big picture. But yeah, to your point, then I'll hand it to you. Like, yeah, it was. Fun's not the answer because it's all serious. Again, like we even our thumbnail today is playing around with it was Anton Dodson's great meme of hide your wife, hide your kids. It's like hide your kids, hide your pets, and he gives this like hilarious moment, tragically hilarious moment. But look what's happened. We've got bomb threats, Springfield, Ohio City Hall. We got schools being evacuated. At least I saw the headline. I will admit I didn't click on it fully, so always click on headlines fully, kids. But so there's a serious nature to that. But yeah, it was interesting to watch, man. It was interesting to watch. It was fun. It was a defeat, but also it was frustrating because not unlike some of the stuff we're talking earlier, we're like, that ain't going to push a lot of people off his needle.
No, it ultimately has not changed the fact that it's still razor thin. Because, to tie it in with what you said about a lot of us after day one, wanting Joe replaced or wanting him to make the move to step down and elevate her or whatever your angle you're
whatever it was,
with. Yeah, just a change needs to be done. It was never to swing the percentages that anyone realistically believed that was going to happen. It was just to get the fighting chance. And yeah, the percentages are still tight like they were when it was Joe. And do we have a more galvanized base for her? I think so. But the idea of like the undecided voter, this unicorn that from 2015 when he began this political career of his to now, these people that are still undecided, they're useless to us essentially. Like it's not me talking about third party voters, not me talking about independents or anything, but like if you're like, I don't think I've seen enough game tape on Donald to really know how I feel, like you're just out of your mind. Like or you choose not to see. And it's like, and like to your point about comedy, because I know it's hard sometimes to like laugh at like the objective hilarity of like what he's saying while also balancing the empathy. And like what I think, I love this Jerry on break in the break room at work. Hell yeah, Jerry, good stuff. I think the whole sort of rock and a hard place of dealing with Trump is that you have to laugh through the pain. Number one, that's been a key element of this entire era since 2016 is laughing through it. And also it's that Donald Trump, if he was not a politician, would sort of be like, to put it in nerd terms, he would be like a glupshudo of American society. Like if Donald Trump was not involved in politics and he was still just like the celebrity apprentice Donald Trump, we would look at him the way we look at Watto, like objectively not a good person, objectively horrible, like, but just like kind of a silly guy off to the side that we can all just laugh at and ignore. And Harris, again, not to even get into like the specifics of her policies or lack thereof or whatever, but she was able to put him on the back foot in a way that he hasn't been on the back foot on in a long time. And that's been the buildup throughout this. It's something that Joe wasn't able to do that day or capable of doing overall. I'm sure he has better days than others, but it was something that we haven't seen. And it was something that even going back to the debates against Hillary Clinton that she either wouldn't do or couldn't do or didn't think she needed to do is probably the more accurate thing. I'll never forget. I think it was debate number 3, maybe number 2. That was the day after the audio came out about listening and all that, and she just kind of did like her little like smile and shimmy, like I know and you know and I know, and it's like no, they don't know, like they don't, people don't know. You should be crucifying him on this stage, and we finally got a little bit of that here. Kamala balancing, I think, a good amount of like, I'm gonna laugh at you and I'm gonna react at some of these things. And I'm gonna throw the barbs to throw you off. Like the rally stuff was a brilliant play tactically for a debate against him specifically. That's a card you play for a specific man. And every time he was rattled, she used that to deliver an answer. And so I think it was overall like successful and a win in that. And like, and if you are laughing through the pain, like they're eating the pets, they're eating the dogs. The video of that clip set to the like that Peanuts is the greatest thing.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's meme worthy. No, I agree with what you're saying too. Yeah, the thing about her performance that I thought was great was she did go at him in good ways. The rally thing was wonderful. That was when you. That's when you're like, you're getting down to Uno, but you're kind of hiding it, and then you drop the draw 4 on them as you say Uno. You're just like, it did draw 4. Oh, and Uno. And his eyes, go in, and he's just like, I need more people. It was almost like a better version of the golf conversation from the first debate. The only time Biden woke up, I can outdrive you. Yeah. But she what I did love is and I'm trying to choose my words carefully. She came off presidential, all those kind of things. But like, if you are one of those, like, I don't like Trump, but I'm a Republican, like say my folks or something like that, she came off a way where you had less reasons to be offended by her, about these uppity liberals, these coastal elites talking down to us. She was able to not tip over into that, which I think could have been if you were like really going, again, diapers. What are you talking about? The dogs? Like, she handled all that stuff really well while still putting him on his back foot, like you said, getting him off his game, not, concept of plans, all these kind of things. That was a big win.
I have to piece out concept of a plan here, because it actually led to a conversation with a mutual friend and one of the greats, Mark Ellis, where I tweeted that concept of a plan is a Captain Jack Sparrow-ass quote. Like, that's just absolutely something that character would say. And Ellis messaged me and was like, hey, that Jack Sparrow tweet made me laugh. Like, that was really good. Keep it up. And I was just like, man, if you can get a comic to DM you and be like, that was good.
Well, you should have got 3 minutes of open mic time that weekend, buddy. You missed it, man. Maybe you still got time. You still got time.
And then we talked about how Ellis brought you to Sonic and quote awoke a sleeping beast.
True.
But
true.
Yeah, like things like that. Where was it? Oh, that. Oh, yeah. Where am I looking? Okay, here we go. The former president was a favorite of Jerry's. Obvious, like, is she going to say MFer? It was just like fantastic. Yeah, the 12% of a plan from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, it absolutely feels that way. It was all of these things that are going to help, I think, their overall ethos right now of like, call them weird, act normal, the Big Tent approach. And it's like, look, the Big Tent approach has proven to be a little bit controversial and a double-edged sword in some ways. And I understand that. I agree with it. I know when Nikki guest hosted here and we talked about the DNC, it's like the Big Tent is wise and I think it meets the moment. But when Cheney shows up to the Big Tent, maybe a little big, a little too big, but
look, I don't know. And by the way, Jon Stewart's reference to Monty Python's Meaning of Life, which I don't think a lot of the young audience got on that live daily show, was great. I get, like, I'm not. I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not saying you're wrong about should the tent be big enough for Cheney, but at this point, I'm like, yeah, dump him. Get W in there. He won't. He's a coward. He won't endorse. He and Patrick Mahomes won't endorse anybody. But like, at this point, we'll start kicking people out of the tent in January. Like, we'll shrink the tent.
Too, is that, like, I also do think that is coming too. Like, it doesn't mean that like Cheney has a job. Like, it's yes, because it is a little bit of, and I agree, undecided voters are a unicorn. But there are some. I'll say this is someone who went from a lifelong voting Republican, conservative, independent, officially person to not. Along the way, there were people who I either looked up to or just were on my team who started maybe saying things differently, and that gave me this weird permission to go to myself to go, oh, maybe I can be okay with questioning gun control. Yeah. That I don't have to keep to the checklist of things that make me this. I can start analyzing it on a case-by-case and heart-by-heart basis. And I think as a monster as Cheney is, him going, nope, not doing it, like, that's going to cause some folks in their 70s to be like, wait a second, if he can think that, I can. And I do think there's value to that. And then we'll just shrink up the tent. It could, yeah. And 894M says, like, in defense too, like, we didn't compromise to get him. He just decided to show up.
Yeah. There's some truth to that.
their opportunity, they being Cheney or they
Mm-hmm,
being, I don't know if Romney endorsed Kamala, but obviously is not a Trumpy. Like, I think that like there's that class of guy that also wants to stick it to Donald, even if it's not about morality. Like, it's just about they want to re-seize their territory.
It's it's like are we going to work with someone we don't trust to destroy Sauron? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's like all the Adar grabs Galadriel, Lady Atariel, the undecided voter. Like,
and look again, January, February, we'll give Dick a 10 spot. Say, hey, can you run outside and get some popcorn? And we close the tent door behind him. Like it's we'll do.
The only Dick Cheney I acknowledge is Christian Bale because he's great in that role. So overall, I think a lot of that stuff of like, to your point about like how she appears and how she's able to sort of present, like she's able to play cards like that, where she says things like, I've been endorsed by 200 either current Republicans or former Republicans. I can't remember her wording, if it was a holistic figure, including the Cheneys and including all these people. And I think everything right now like is building into this. It's not necessarily blue, red. It's not MAGA or normal. It's not all these things. It's adults versus goofy ass shitheads. It's weird versus non-weird. And with Walz and Vance coming up on October 1st, I think is going to be
that's going to be fun.
That's going to be the one that is even more like less eyes on it, but will arguably be deeply more satisfying.
It's going to be, when like the Intercontinental match steals the WrestleMania card.
Yes.
You're like, hey, the main event's fun. Yeah, all right. Batista versus Randy Orton for the 19th time. Got it. But man, Jericho versus Michaels, Steamboat versus Savage, Hart versus Piper. Like, oof.
100%. It's exactly that. It is like all right, we're gonna do all of our spots later on. We're gonna have our run-ins and everything, but like we'll let these two kids do 15 minutes of their flippy shit. Like,
we'll let the work rate guys come in there. Yeah.
Work rate.
Yeah.
Walz, man. Yeah, I think Walz. Of course, finding out about Taylor Swift live on air was a great campaign moment for him, and like
it's great. That's a historic moment, man. Talk about when history will record when a pop star really, I think, affected things going forward. I really think you'll see it. I'm not saying a crushing defeat of Trump in an election, giant election victory. I'm just saying when this is recorded and historians start speaking of this, that moment and the spike in registration and everything, it will be an important moment.
100%. Yeah, I think I don't want to get into like the Swiftie conspiracies about when, why, who, when was it drafted? What was it always going to be that day, or did they push it up because of blowback she was getting? And like, and like if that's the case too, because she was hanging out with what's her face, who's a Trumpy, like that's if it did get pushed up and it was just fortuitous that it worked out that way, fuck it, yeah, great. Like that is irrelevant to me but the fact that she did it and then Stevie Nicks jumping on it and like other people like
Linda Ronstadt getting in there,
Linda Ronstadt coming for the throat, great stuff like that. I think it's been cool. Yeah, Brittany Mahomes. I did know her name. I just didn't want to dignify her. Nikki says Teddy Long can moderate the VP debate.
Tonight's debate is gonna be a tag match.
1-on-1 with the Undertaker, except the Undertaker would vote Trump, so Undertaker would support JD Vance. So Taker, maybe not this time. We'll go 1-on-1 with Jesse the Body Ventura instead.
Yes.
But yeah, I think in terms of the debate overall, like we put it on the thumbnail, we've alluded to it, but like they have, in a way that we haven't seen in a while, because they've sort of been in like their rebuild phase since Biden beat him. We haven't gotten like full into the brain rot on a public stage and like this in a while. And because even the first debate, he wasn't saying he was saying obviously horribly untrue and stupid things, but like the anti-Haitian racism conspiracies and they're eating your pets. They're changing changing the gender of your kid at school. It goes to school, they come back as a different gender. The experimentations on illegal aliens in prisons, which is just like fantastic. And me and all the nerds had a good laugh about them saying trans aliens, because that made us think about Crystal Skull. Like because they're not aliens.
If we worked hard enough, we could convince them that that was actually it.
That was a real
that's actually what's going on. Like that Trump would stay on stage and be like, and they're finding trans aliens in South America right now.
I honestly like, if I had like press corps access, I would love to, with a straight face, be like, what do you make of the report that came out from Dr. Henry Jones about
like, yes, that's what I'm saying. We could do it if we worked harder. If we put our minds to it, Alden.
That'd be so good. It's like people in 2018 were like, can someone please ask him about foreign relations with Wakanda, just to see if he tries to make it sound like it's a real place.
I want to go back. Boopenheim has this. By God, that's Mitt Romney's music. That's Romney's music. He's coming down to join Walls. Oh so man, good.
The Viper, Randy Orton. Randy Orton should absolutely RKO JD.
We should only talk about politics in terms of wrestling. I think that's what it is.
Because wrestling is
life, man.
Is life. It's the most. I mean, can we still buy Ken Napzok "Life is a Work" T-shirts on your store? I'm not sure if those are.
I think it's on TeePublic still. I'm moving a lot of things to fourth wall, but yeah, Life is a Work is. You can get those shirts on TeePublic, and I'll get 25 cents for every $92 you spend on there. Yeah, thanks TeePublic.
Great system.
And you can't put it on YouTube. Yeah, good. You can't do your shelf shop down below. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah. So
I
it was just
like a little bit.
No. But we're riffing on it because it's like. Again, it's not like we're here to like be like, let's unpack what was said, because half of what was said was complete and utter brain mush, just like racist vomiting of conspiratorial, disgusting language. And it has real world effects. Of course it does. I mean, like if you're a Haitian child or teenager right now, imagine like walking down the halls in certain areas, in certain school systems, certain districts. Like what we're seeing, of course, is like the last gasps, and we're seeing like a wounded animal approach from the Trump camp right now, where they realize that they are being beaten. At least, the percentages are obviously still uncomfortably close, but they're being beaten in terms of the media cycle and in terms of presentation and showmanship. And the Dems have energy now. And you can see this most evidenced in the fact that Joe Biden, much like the Joker in the Lego Batman movie, misses Joe Biden. The Lego Joker could not process that Batman wanted to, quote, fight other people. And now Trump is kind of just like, I miss Joe. We never miss Joe. He totally, absolutely thought that this would be a rematch, that he would get his, pound of flesh on the guy that beat him in 2020. Beat him, didn't beat him. Did he lose? Is he still the president? They can't decide in the MAGA cult what the story is.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Sometimes he's still the president. Sometimes he lost. Sometimes he didn't lose. It's the whole thing. Did they want Mike Pence killed or not? It just depends on the day. And indeed. I think it didn't tell us anything we didn't know, but it was just nice to get to the point where it's like everybody is sort of like re-exposed, and I think like we could put like, because part of the thing with their cult is that like they took shame away, and like we need to put a little bit of shame back in there. And I will say, just a little bit of like the real life. The next day, I was working the day job, and a person at the day job was going around asking people about Trump or Harris. It was just a guy who, smug dude,
a fire starter, someone who just wanted to ruin everyone's day.
Maybe like mid 40s to early 50s, white dad. And he came up to me and asked me, and I said, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Yeah. Which one?" And I looked this man dead in the eye and said, "I don't vote for people that were endorsed by the Klan." And he looked mortified. Yeah. And then I was just like, "Sorry." And he was just like, "Well, I mean," I was like, "Look, man," I was like, we're at eating pets level talk now, so I can't say an obvious fact. And he was like, "All right, well, I get all right." And he just like kind of backed out of the conversation. We need to reinstill shame.
Yeah.
That's what the debate should say, or tell everybody.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And the hard thing is, it's like they feel no shame. It's the old can't talk, say the crazy thing. Our buddy Ken Plume says it a lot, even when we're playing Fortnite, because he's trying to talk to me. But I'd love for them to feel that. And I think on some levels, again, it's those whispered tones that I get from some of my older friends or family. It's the whispered like, well, I don't like him.
Yeah.
but we just got to get you to the point of acting on that feeling. And if it's reintroducing shame into your life, I'm all for it.
Yeah, like it's just like people, because they have a really easy time thinking sort of like inward, and it's like I've made this point a few times, and like it's like a lot of people are like, well, like but gas, and like have you tried to buy a McDonald's meal lately? Like it's just like, and it's like, okay, but like think about it, like even if that's true, like obviously I'm not saying that like this is the Force Center, like caveat. Of course, I'm not saying that like it's not hard time, of course, and of course I'm not saying that food insecurity is not real. Of course, I'm one of those dirty little lefties, and I'm broke, so it's just like I got it. But what I'm saying is that if theoretically in the Trumpian or not Trumpian, but I'm just concerned about the dollar, I'm concerned about my groceries, in that person's brain, if it is that trade, I'll make that fucking trade, man. Like if those are the terms, theoretically, and of course it's more complicated than that. Any post-COVID president was going to have these situations. This was just going to happen, and of course we're in a stabilization now, and like we'll see what happens down the road. But like, I tweeted like if somebody was like eggs are $50, but everyone got to have their rights protected. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'll fucking do that.
I've said that before too of a transgender person trying to be treated like a person. I'm going ahead and going to pay the $19 a gallon for gas. Like that's kind of where I'm at. And you can't get everyone to there, unfortunately, right? That's the frustration I think we all feel of just like, it's pretty basic and simple. And then you get in the arguments. Yeah, I've faced this on phone calls with my family, right? You got McDonald's employees making $20 an hour. That's why your burgers are expensive. No, that's not it. But we don't want to have a capitalism or corporate greed. We don't want to have those conversations. We just want to yell, right? Is that what this is about? So it's frustrating. It's frustrating. But at the end of the day, this performance at the debates on both sides, it was I do consider it a win, not just a win in terms of the debate, it's nothing was fumbled. The ball. I keep going to sports a lot. The ball was moved down the field. And that's a good thing, and it was done with a lot of energy, and I think there's still that energy. That energy's gonna wane. It already has to a degree, but it's still present, I think. And I still think Uncle Tim's gonna come along and charge it up again too.
And that's the thing is that they need to time their big marquee moments. The initial changeover from Biden was huge. The selection of Waltz was huge. The convention was huge. Then it did feel like it was like, okay, like convention's over. Like, was it? And then, okay, now this, then Taylor Swift. Like they need to now Walls on October 1st, like time these moments to keep the energy going. Don't let people forget you. Or forget that they care. Like right here, like extra cheddar comments, like corporate greed with Sally, not a topic in the debate. Yeah. And that would be a great topic for our next debate. And he doesn't want to have one now. And she's tweeted from her, I don't know if she's tweeted, her team has tweeted from her account, like, we want to have a second one. We should have a second one. Like, put that pressure on. Like, start making it clear that he's ducking you. Things like that are effective. And I wish that we weren't in this country where the optics were more important than the work and the policy, but we are. We all know we are. Sometimes like they're weird works. Sometimes they're a coward works. They're ducking us works. Those are all things that matter. And Nikki has a question here. Can you guys explain the Laura Loomer stuff? I know that Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to kick her out of the cult, which was funny. Laura Loomer, occasionally traps 6 to 7 average citizens and puts them through horrible games to try to see if they want to escape or not. And it's made quite a franchise of films. But also, MTG called her racist over a tweet, a post about Kamala Harris. And what was it? If she gets in the White House, the whole place will smell like curry, which is just a bad joke. It's not even a good joke structure. If you're trying to be mean and funny, you failed. You failed on the funny part. It's just you're hacks. They're hacks. They're so weird and they're hacks. And that caused MTG to go after her, to kick her out, to say she doesn't represent MAGA, which I would argue that seems to be the policies there. But it is a wonderful civil war because now Laura Loomer's been hate tweeting and claims that there's footage of MTG dropping the N-word around the office. Sure.
And yeah, let's do it. Let's just expose it all.
Which, to be clear, if she was, they're not. Her supporters are not going to abandon her. But it would be nice to have on the record.
Yeah.
I love this right here. Nikki says, just clarifying. My question is they banging?
I saw the photos today. Look, man. Look, I've been a wonderful 8 years now with Grace. We started our relationship secret, right? Because of certain rules put in place by our boss. Not the company. I want to add, not the company. The boss at the time put some rules in that no one in the office can intermingle unless it's with me. And so we had to keep it kind of secret for a while. Yeah. And you can't hide it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We were at an event. We were at an event as a team with our coworkers. It was a Monday Night Raw thing we had to go to, which was great. And we were trying to do the like, oh, I just picked her up. Oh, she lives near me. We drove here, yeah. And everyone was there. Like you could feel the energy, right? Energies that you can't hide it. Can't hide it. And that's what I see in the photos now.
Yeah.
Game recognizes game, Alden.
For all of
game recognizes game. I'm like, oh yeah. That they've seen each other naked.
For all of my Succession viewers in the chat, Nikki included, this is Logan banging Carrie later on in the show. This is like the old elderly guy who feels like and it's tracks. Like he feels probably more insecure than he's felt in a long time, and more rattled and all these things. And like, I don't think Melania has anything to do with the current Enterprise. I think she has been so much less involved than either of the previous 2 cycles.
Yeah, her and her Putin-like stand-ins are out of this election cycle.
Yeah, Melania, fake Melania 2. All these people are.
Some of the Putin ones. You're like, is it? The Melania ones. You're like, that's a blonde woman. Like what? What are you?
Fake Melania has a whole Wikipedia page and everything too for like the whole theory. It's fascinating. Maddie Gunner says the fact that he's in a secret relationship and I'm single takes me dangerously close to self-loathing. You know what, Maddie?
Look, Maddie.
Hey, when you do pull this next god baddie, she will be a good human being. That's the difference.
Look. Look. I'll address this Laserbolt comment here too. This is great. Maddie, to look at one of the greatest movies of all time that is free of controversy, Love Actually. You need to, like Colin, you need to move to America. You come over here, speaking that accent, playing and singing the music you do. You're gonna find love. It's simple. You don't even move to LA.
Yeah.
Move to Portland. I don't know.
Maddie, come over here. Bring Charlie Ashby with you. We'll get a place. And we'll figure it out. We'll get an apartment in the same building as Nikki's apartment. And then we'll leave Nikki by himself though.
Laserbolt, a fellow Ken, says, "Hey, I always thought you kept your relationship secret to protect your quote perpetual bachelor persona intact." That was not. That was a previous relationship. And there's some truth to what Laserbolt's saying.
Interesting.
That other relationship, we were together for 5 years, and we had to, because of some ex-husband reasons, had to keep it really down low. Scary, because I don't know if you know this, men do lack emotional maturity and depth, and often that translates to violence. And I'm not making light of that. It was, we had to keep it down because of that. But at the same time, I did keep it up on Schmoes a little bit because I didn't know what else to do. And it confused the hell out of people. There's people that knew me. There's like co-hosts who'd be like, "But didn't you just go to Disneyland?" Yeah. But on the show, I was like, so it was a weird time. It was a weird time, Alden.
Which is
I don't
interesting.
know if I do that again.
Like, if your persona were to be defined in one of those like broad categories of like the bachelor, the whatever, the womanizer, like you do have like really strong wife guy energy now. Like you flip the other way. Like you're a very supportive. Like you're always like, whenever you bring up Grace, it's always in a like, her skills, that she's cool, how she's changed you for the better, like all this stuff. Like you're like consummate wife guy in the best way. So I think Bachelor Ken, I think, is long gone. Like you have relationship vibe.
Look, there's permission to speak freely, Captain. There's a couple points. There's a couple points in my life where you know, especially if you're an on-air personality, like I always say, like you need to form some sort of character, not in a fake way, but to broadcast correctly and entertain correctly. I do believe there needs to be an alternate version of you to a certain degree. So over the years, I've had that, and it was empowering. There was 2 points in my life. One was I'm in love. I'm engaged. You know, I have the ring, and you know, and that is me now. That I can let go of the sad movies, the sad songs, the sadness. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be sad, but that's not me anymore. I can move past that. There was also a point earlier in my life where I realized I was good at oral sex, and I needed to accept that I was no longer an aw shucks guy. That there was in fact, I even get blowback now. I won't say names, but there's a real close friends of mine. It's a couple, and they both tell me you still do too much self-loathing on stage. And the wife said, "We girls talk, and we all know Ken fucks, and we can't be fooled anymore by that because we see who you with. We see who you walk in the room. So it's not, you got to move. You got to find another angle." So those are the key moments in my life.
That's fantastic. What a phenomenal. I got everybody just dropping their emojis to celebrate you right now. Chat. Yeah, I mean, it's a Matthew Stokes. I became an oral expert, and then I got blowback. Go Ken, hell yes. Can I get an A Lamau in the chat? Hail Ken.
This is the better sober version of Brad Pitt drunk movie fights moments. This is me speaking truth. Because I want to empower all of you out there when you learn this side. There's a great Alanis Morissette quote that I'll say as a quote, but I don't remember. I'm paraphrasing, but years ago, like 25 years ago, she was like, "There was a great moment in my life where I realized I was good at sex and I had to accept it."
That's powerful. So that's such a great quote. Oh, that's awesome. Ken is eating the cat.
All you youngsters with your terms.
Shirt. Kazak fucks. Man in Burbank. This is look at how you lit up the chat with this revelation.
I want to, Don't hold on to the things that you think you are, that define you, that might be bringing you down.
Yeah, and you always have license to change. You have license to embrace things. And also, it's like, whether it's what you just talked about or anything else, sometimes it is okay to say, yeah, I'm good at this. It's verifiable. This has been said. Like, you can, there's a way to, like, embrace that and also, like, walk with your, it's like something I learned from people that are younger than me, like the early 20s crowd, is that there's a difference. Like, sometimes people put, like, when they talk about like fictional characters, and I'll use an iconic one to explain. Okay. People sometimes will say, "Oh, do they pee or do they piss?" And you look at like Han Solo. Han Solo pees, but Han Solo goes around saying he pisses. You know what I mean? Like, and those are the that's sort of like a dynamic that you can analyze people with.
I love characters.
That. And I think that maybe at a time like, you were going around saying I piss, and now you're like, I fucking pee, and I'm still cool. Like
there's some of that. Yeah. There's that. Yeah, no, there's that. Like I don't know, boss, tell me. Either you know or you don't. And then that was the test, and I just went like this. I went, and then my friend was like, "No what?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's my point." So
yeah, it's Svetnik 1138. It's a wonderful moment when you realize why your partner's friends are looking at you differently. Yeah.
That's all I can say.
That's all I can say. We go live now to DC for comments from Great. No, we don't. She's private. But there's a reason I flappers tonight to tell everyone.
Do it, please. 10:00 show, Nikki. 10:00 show. Yeah, absolutely. God, sometimes I wonder if I should be on live streams anymore. But I want to be an inspiration.
You're working on material.
You're
You can always
my
justify everything as working on material.
inspiration. You know, every time I listen to Teeth by Gaga, I'm like, I show them teeth.
Oh God.
You
Maybe
know?
one day we'll get Lady Gaga on a podcast interview, and you can tell her
I can't wait.
she
Yeah.
influenced.
Yeah.
Charlie Ashby. Y'all don't need to be hung as long as you can use the tongue. Margaret Thatcher. Oh man, what a turn that this whole thing has took. Before we close out, because I know you do have to go in a minute.
I do have to go. I have to eat some pizza.
We would be remiss if we did not address the fact that the MTV VMAs took place, and the new sensation, one of our faves, Chappell Roan, took her place amongst the pantheon of not just VMA winners and pop icons, because she's been on TV before. She, Dick Colbert and a couple other appearances, Fallon.
Yeah.
But first big industry, like welcome to the big dance sort of moment. And she joined the ranks of people like Fiona Apple, showing up in armor and everything. And sort of I know it was partially inspired by Joan of Arc, but also by a name that I am now forgetting. Maybe someone put it in the comments of the story of the lesbian woman that was sent to the convent and then burned it down and escaped with her lover. So like that was obviously there.
Right.
In the visual. Did the Good Luck Babe, tore it fucking down, looked fantastic, performed fantastic. Put that paparazzo in his place and told him to shut the fuck up. And just like I was like, holy shit, dude, rock stars are back. Like the rock star has returned. But the endearing rock star, like the one that's like that you root for.
Yeah. I hope that continues, because I know in some corners there's been weird blowback and there's some maybe misunderstanding of what she's been trying to convey and communicate with some of the things that's gone on lately with her. I'm happy to see Haley Williams, of all people, stand up and be like, yeah, she's right. I'm glad she said this.
That Rolling Stone article that came out that was like listing all the people that have reached out to her, and it's almost every major mega woman star in music.
She's very much. She's very much of her time, very much of our time, right? She is young enough to be, to appeal to the youngers, which is important, but not just appeal to it in some demographic way, but just be of that generation. And I'm intrigued by it, and I, that's why I say I love her music and adore what she's doing. Even though I'm not the direct audience, I'm sitting back like you're saying, like this is you are watching pop culture history unfold, and you know it when it happens. Some people sneak up on it. Sometimes it's just a band in the background. Sometimes Dave Grohl has a love child. You see history form, but like you talk about the VMAs, like I was alive, Alden, when Madonna came out in a white dress and changed the world. We all hear stories of Britney and a snake, Lady Gaga, not just in a meat dress, but that performance of her bleeding. That's the one that Grace tells me the story of watching with a bunch of her theater friends, and Grace being the one going, "This is amazing," and everyone was going, "This is disgusting. What is this woman doing?" Grace is like, "This is me." Like we have those moments, and just her right now is that moment. And I'm making an old person joke, but like to have the VMAs still be a thing. I didn't know that was a thing still. I don't know the videos were a thing. It was fun to watch and important to watch.
Absolutely. And you say the music's not for you, but given the conversation we just had, perhaps Ken Knapsack is also knee deep in the passenger seat.
Knee deep in the passenger seat. I've been told I can't do that at karaoke.
Ken at the gym while he lifts, knee deep in the passenger. All the
I
guys
do. No. So my gym's in my garage.
Yeah, because you can sing your heart out by yourself.
Yeah, and no, my neighbor gets to hear, what is this guy listening to Chappell Roan all the time? And then Gaga, like, what's going on? Like, I'm lifting, going, like it's great. And then Last Dinner Party, I absolutely love Last Dinner Party. But I want to our buddy Alex Damon, he's had a bit of a tough couple weeks. He texted me, man. He's like, dude, I just was in my car and just screamed along to Chappell Roan. I feel so much better. Like there's a power to it where you're not necessarily lockstep with her journey and story, but you're in lockstep with the emotions, and that's what's going on.
Well said. Lockstep with the emotions is powerful, and it's like I look at her as like this rising star and this new figure and everything. But then, and you know, you're talking about her obviously in the way that you talk about the 20-somethings of being of a different time. I forget that her and I are the same age, and I'm like, oh shit, like that gives me hope that like our peer group, like we're doing something. There's something to say. There's something to do, and contribute. Chapel bringing Kit Tanthalos to the mainstream. You're goddamn right.
That's just a Chaperone, your favorite straight guy's favorite artist. That's true.
That's us. That's us true. Right here. Chaperone for Oasis support act. Honestly, like I don't want them to comment on her because I'm afraid of what it might be.
I'm afraid, but I think Liam would surprise people. Noel's still a little grub. But Liam's the whole thing of Liam. People looking at Liam's posts. There's some good ones where you're like, oh, I think he's on the right side of some things. But you're right. I don't want to go too deep into the conversation. But yeah, it would not happen. But they said they're looking for established acts, and that maybe means some older nostalgia-based things too. But like, throw Last Dinner Party up there. Come on.
The dream situation, I think, is Lady Gaga 7 comes out this year. She's gonna tour it, obviously. Chapel opening for Gaga on Lady Gaga 7. I think that would be the tour to end all tours and would make a lot of sense. And then they do Bad Romance together as a duet. Look at that. Like, just think about the money. Think about the iconic costumes and moments, and it would be.
I'd be there.
It would be the greatest.
I'd be there.
Yep, 100%. Tully Quinn. We have to address this next time, Tully Quinn, because Ken's got to go. But I tried to get into Oasis and I don't get it. They seem like mean pub guys. I think Ken could probably do an hour on that.
Yeah, and that's why I like them. That's why I like them. And you're not wrong. And if that's not for you, it's not for you because no one wants to be a mean pub guy in a pub is a problem. But for me, they are that. There's a side of me that is that, and I get to live it out in a 7-minute coke-addled song when I'm singing along.
100%. Brennan Mars here. Hey, Brennan. Charlie asked me, pray for me and Alden today. Charlie XCX and Dua releasing a song. Yeah, Dua, to my understanding, is only on it in like a speaking capacity. She recorded some stuff in other languages for the new Charlie track. So, but hey, that counts. Okay. That counts.
Okay.
I'll take it. Dua tour 2025. Maybe I'll go see it in LA. I'll bring Ken.
Let's do it. Yeah. A lot of fun. We went to a lot of places, but that's what we do here on Anytime with Ken and Alden. We'll be back next week. I know it's Friday the 13th. That's a holiday for a lot of folks. Celebrate that if you will. Put a curse on somebody. Drop a tail of newt into a cauldron. But we'll have some fun next week. And if you're around and you're a Star Wars fan, we'll be going live on Force Center about 2:00 our time here, Pacific, and it'll be a lot of fun. Anything you're working on, Alden, that you want them to know about?
Just check out Casually Talk. We have 3 more weeks of the Rings of Power. So the Rings of Power coverage is happening there. I did almost an hour, 50 minutes yesterday, just monologuing about the last 2 episodes. It's honestly some of the most fun I've had in any podcast in a while. So check that out. That's Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll start the charge to the new Lord of the Rings movie in December.
Love that. You're doing great work over there. Love Rings of Power Season 2. Check it out if you haven't already. It's a wonderful show. We'll see you next time here on Anytime. I'm Ken. That's all. Show me your teeth.